Welcome back to the Key and J Books podcast. I'm your co-host Jay, along with my co-host Key, and today we'll be covering chapters 16 through 20 in Ladarrion Williams' book Bones at the Crossroads. Sorry for our hiatus for the last 2 weeks. I had to go and get a procedure that most men would not want to talk about or even get until it's the last moments of their life. I'm talking about a colonoscopy, Key, and that was a sight to behold. I did go with my wife. I was scared to death because I'd never been put to sleep, aka I never been knocked out before, but we talking about a different knocked out. I'd never been put under anesthesia, and even that was a little bit of a moment, man, where I'm as big as tough as they come as far as in nature and stature and attitude and all that. But you should have seen me in that not in the emergency room, but you should have seen me in the operating area, where they was setting me up, man. I was such a baby. I'm not even going to say the term little girl. I was such a baby asking all these questions. I didn't want no IV in my arm, but the procedure went well. I'm still here. Let me tell you something, man. Anesthesia is the best sleep you're ever going to get. I don't even want to get into specifics. I don't know what happened. I just know they was in there. And for all the females complaining about taking it all the way in, listen, man, I had about 45 inches in me. And that's something that I don't want to say again. Just know, if you want to know what happened, rewind this clip and know I took it all. As a man, I took it all. Every last inch, I took it all. So I don't want to hear nobody squirming and screaming.
You're here to speak again. Like, you're okay. Right. I just want to say I'm so happy that my co-host is okay.
Right.
As well as him being a little under the weather. I was under the weather. I was dealing with some personal issues, but we are back and we are ready. And I'm just so happy that Jay is taking care of his health. Like he said, this is a procedure that most men are scared to do. Different, you know what I mean?
Right,
you did it. I'm proud of you, and I'm so happy that you're here. You're safe. God has covered you, and we about to get in it.
Yes. So, chapter 16. What did you think about chapter 16 thus far?
Chapter 16, we learned some things. Professor Tituba Atwell is starting to teach Malik and Dom, and she expresses that the Divine Lamb is going really good, but they are looking for a seer, and they haven't had a seer since Antoine disappeared after Mama Aya passed away. So it looks like they're moving along, and just they're missing that one puzzle piece, and it has me curious who will be their seer. Because honestly, when I think of seer, I think of somebody who can see into the future a little bit, and a part of me thought that possibly could be Malik with his ability to touch people and see their memories and stuff. But I guess he can't necessarily see into the future. So they're still looking for a seer to complete the Divine Lamb.
Okay, and we get to the big hot top. Well, one sub point in the chapter, because it wasn't a long chapter. I think Sam Samedi, and his aunt came through and really stole the scene. But even before that, we find out some things about D-Lo. We find out that D-Lo's parents are not magical. D-Lo doesn't know how he got his powers, which kind of set forth to me. I was thinking, well, if your parents is not magical, because normally every parent that we've spoken about that have children that go to the school now, whether you're the twins, Alexis, Danye, everybody's parents had, even what's her name, Dom's parent, her mother was magical, and she hid her powers. So everybody has magic. How does D-Lo just skate by with nobody being magical? I hope we find out. Does it skip a generation and maybe his uncle, or we find out somebody else in it? But somebody had to have been magical. D-Lo's just not picking up this magic just from there. And they want him to heal his father, right? So we just found out all of this stuff about. How did that make you feel about finding out that D-Lo's parents are not magical, that we know thus far?
Same as you, really. I was really surprised because, like you, everybody in the story has some kind of magical connection through their lineage. And the fact that his parents are not directly connected to magic, I was like, okay. But I thought maybe it's something like, I feel like either previous chapters or the chapters to come, they discuss Kaveh, which is Malik's special magic. Kaveh was given to him from Mama Aya, and it skipped his mother. His mother did not get the Kaveh magic. It skipped his mother, and it went to Malik. So I was thinking maybe it was something like that. Maybe D-Lo's grandparents had powers, you know what I mean? And it just skipped his mom and dad, or whatever. If it came from his mom or his dad's side, it skipped that parent and it went to him. And it could be like one of those things, like in Twilight, where the werewolves were made into werewolves because of the vicinity of vampires. It could be something like that. D-Lo's parents were not born in a time or a place where magic was necessarily needed. So it skipped their generation, and then it went to D-Lo because, as you see in his generation, all this crazy shit is happening. You know what I mean? So it definitely was something to think about. And I think, just like you, I was curious, like, well, where did he get his magic from if his parents are not magic? But yeah, I was happy that he touched on that, because I was really worried about D-Lo. Remember, me and you were both suspecting that there was trouble in paradise with him and Salon, because he was acting so weird. In this chapter, he says, like, yeah, we may argue and we may fight, but that's my guy. Like, we're in love. Like, that's what we represent. And I was so happy that the author decided to put that in, because I love D-Lo and Savon together. And I'm so happy that D-Lo's issues was with his family and not with his relationship.
My son be tearing Savon cheeks up. That's what he see in the book. That's what Malik said. Not me. I ain't say that. You know what I'm saying? But
and I do love Malik and D-Lo's relationship. I just want to say, like, I love the fact that Malik is straight, D-Lo is bisexual, and they can still talk about sex together and relationships. And it's not like a weird thing. It's not like, oh, bro, no homo. I've said this in the past book. I will say this now. I absolutely love the LGBTQ representation in this book. In this chapter specifically, they talk about how they didn't want Homecoming to be canceled because they were like, we finally want to have D-Lo and Savon represent on the Homecoming court. We don't have any LGBTQ representation. And that was a big reason why they were like, Malik, you got to help us. Don't let him stop it. This is the first year that we think that we could nominate Savon as the Homecoming. I don't know if it would be king or, because he's non-binary. I don't know what his title.
How they gonna analogize it?
Would be. Exactly. But they want some representation. So I really, really like that the author continues to include that in the book. In the story.
And he even went further when they was talking about it and saying that even though they thought that coming to the school would rid them of what the world thought about the LGBT community, but he said it's the worst, not if it's the same, not or if only it's the worst being in that environment, even at a magical school where the predecessors before them, you know what I'm saying, didn't really care. And the predecessors now don't really care or understand the community and how time has come along. So they really want to make that change to kind of make it better for other queer and LGBT community members to come forth after them as well. So they kind of setting a statement up for themselves and for the future. So I did like that. And the big thing in the chapter, man, Malik is chilling. Everything is going vibe. He coming through, walking through. And then here comes Sam. Well, here comes, what you call him? Because I call him Sam. What you call him?
Baron Samedi. But I mean, his name is Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
I get you, Sam. Sam comes through because he realizes that in the previous chapter, Malik actually brought Dom back to life. Now, remember, Sam is like, he's the one who ushers the souls into the underworld or the overworld, wherever. Like, he's like the king of death. I don't know what his title is, but he ushers the souls. And when he discovers that Malik brought Dom back to life, he tells him, look, you done messed up. Because now the spiritual world is owed a soul. You took something from the spiritual world. She was supposed to die and you brought her back. Now we got a problem because somebody else's soul has to go in place of hers. I was like, ooh.
And he wasn't like, let's be honest, he ain't come through like that was his uncle in the beginning. He came through like, yo, you owe me a soul, Negro. You know what I'm saying? And when he came, yo, you coming, come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And Malik ain't give no, Malik is the back talk king. Like, who does think he talking to? You know what I'm saying? Malik ain't saying nothing. My boy was on 2 feet. Like, hi, let's go. And then as they're walking to get up out of there, he ice grilled the hell out of Taryn. And I could just imagine him walking through and him just icing Taryn. Like, I dare you say something and ask me where Malik is going. You know why I'm here. Then he slammed that stab. Boom, boom. And then they end up back at Mama Aya's house in the yard. And that's when he told him about everything that you just said. And he said Malik has to make a choice now. He has to owe him a soul. He got to do these things, that he asked of him. And his aunt was like, it's not like that. We're not trying to come off at you, but you upsetting the established order. Now everything is chaos. You know what I'm saying? So now your uncle, this is what he do. Like, you took somebody from his soul. She was ready to go. He had the grave was set for, so now he got to pay. He got to make something happen for him, make something shake.
Yeah, and I was confused a little bit about this because Baron or Uncle Sam says, now you must offer me and Bridget sacrifices. And my thing was, what was the sacrifices going to do if he needed a soul? I was so confused, one. And then two, why did Malik have to offer sacrifices to Bridget? What did she have to do with it? I was like, she has nothing to do with it. I mean, that's his girl, but she has nothing to do with the spiritual part of this. Why? That part didn't really make sense to me. And I want to touch on something else. In the beginning of this chapter, we kind of skimmed over it. When Professor Tituba is teaching Dom and Malik, she actually goes back into time. And they see a woman named Marinette create the first Lugaroos. Remember, the Lugaroos from the couple chapters ago are the wolves. And Professor Tituba, and I think this is important because these are going to be mentioned later, she says, your mom is the one who brought them back because me and Mama Aya, like, we're the ones who banished them. So if they came back, your mom is the one who brought them back. And something interesting was that when they went back in time, Malik recognizes the woman who created the very first Lugaroo. If you remember, he was having a vision of a woman with red eyes. he sees that same woman creating the first Lugaroo. So it seems like all of this somehow is connected to Malik and his mother, because he keeps having these premonitions or these visions of these things that haven't necessarily happened yet, or that he doesn't know about it yet. So I really thought that was really interesting. And I also thought it was crazy that Tituba in this chapter, she's like, yeah, but remember, guys, keep the club a secret, because you're going to be learning things and we don't want Madam Empress to find out. And I'm like, bitch, you've been running your mouth about the club like the whole time. You've been telling Dom about Malik and doing all this. Like, now you want to say, oh, keep it secret, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that's why I
I
was
still
like,
don't
oh,
trust her. I know the
now it's a
grandmom said
secret.
trust her, but it's something about her, man. I'm trying.
But a few chapters down the line, I'm with you, Jay. I really am starting to look at her a little sideways, because one, she let Malik bring Dom back. And I'm thinking, as powerful as Tituba is, she didn't know that was not allowed. She didn't know to stop him and say,
Come
wait,
on now. Come
Malik,
on now.
Malik, that's you're doing with Bane magic now. I don't want your soul to be, you know what I mean? She didn't say nothing. She just was like, well, you know what I mean? That was weird
Like,
to
come
me.
on now. I'm with you.
Weird.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
She didn't
Trust me.
stop
I'm
him.
with you on it.
And I
I'm
felt
with
like
you on
she
that.
should have known, as smart as she is, as old as her ass is, she should have known. Let me see, what other notes did I put? I love the relationship. Oh, this is something that I wanted to ask Jay about. Jay, if you guys don't know, he is Mr. Deacon over there. There was a part in this book where Savon was cussing in church. How did you feel about that? He said the D word. He was like, damn, like, because remember when they went to the party before Uncle Sam takes Malik away, Dom is singing and she has a beautiful voice, and Savon comes in and they're like, excuse me, I keep mixing up the pronouns, my apology. They're like, damn, like, this is so good. And I was like, you cannot be cussing in church. That is so disrespectful. But I wanted to get your opinion, Jay.
We've all done some things in church that we got to take back.
Yes.
Whether it was a sexual act or whether it was a, evil thought or whatever.
Yep.
As long as you ain't, as long as you're not disrupting the service, and I think damn is okay, even though damnation and all that. I think it was meant in good jest, like, because, in your mind, you might even say, shit, that girl got a voice, and it's like, oh, excuse me, Lord, I'm saying sorry. So, I mean, it happens from time to time. You know what I'm saying? People do weird things in church from time to time. It's no different from digging in your ass or digging in your nose, We're going to be honest, right? I'm just calling it what it is. It's not like I haven't seen that before.
No, but really, I get you. I was just like, oh, I cannot wait to ask Jay, like, what he feels about this. Like, yeah, I get you. Like, it happens. And I'm not going to say that I've never cussed in church or did something in church that I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing. Like you said, it happens. As long as I make sure God knows I'm sorry,
Right.
My
Immediately
bad,
go
Lord.
into prayer. Just drop your head. I'm sorry, God. That's how it be, man. In chapter 17, we start off, Malik is doing his due diligence, and trying to offer up something to his uncle because he knows.
He gives him whiskey. Do you remember when he's like, he gives him liquor? And I'm just thinking, but I thought it was supposed to be some kind of spiritual offering. He's giving Uncle Sam whiskey, and that's supposed to save somebody. That's why I said that whole thing.
That's what he thinking. He thinking like, yo, my uncle like to drink. Maybe if I do this with some whiskey, I can do this with some liquor or something like that, and it'll work. You know what I'm saying? And then we move on to Dom and Malik. They're studying spells with the tuba, who really, really have a hard time trusting. They're connecting with their ancestors, known and unknown, because she said there are jealous spirits who wish they were alive. And I'm like, jealous spirits who come through who wish they were alive. That is so true. Like, we noticed that if you watch like different movies, if you watch Conjuring, if you watch Ghost, the old school Ghost movie, Whoopi Goldberg.
They don't want to leave.
They don't want to
mad
leave.
That they're not alive, and they want to haunt the people who they feel like you're in my place. Exactly.
Or they want to enter your body and kind of live through you again. So I thought that was like, a way that was dope. They wish they were alive. And she does, what is it called? It's called Sigma De Vivi Con.
Yeah.
Sigma De Vivi.
Sigillum Dei DEI. I know which spell you're talking about. And I thought this spell sounded kind of crazy. It's a spell. Okay, she says she teaches them that there is a spell, Sigillum DEI or Dei, which gave a destined intended conjurer to have the power to possess the spirit of God. I thought that was honestly insane.
Crazy.
I thought it was insane. Someone can possess the spirit of God, like God,
or God-like power. God like.
I mean,
but the same thing. All same thing.
Exactly what it said. I was like, I said a spell that allows a conjurer to access the spirit of God. That sounds really dangerous. Right. I don't know. We get our power from God, and someone has the power to access it. destined conjurer. I was like,
That's
I
a
don't think
bad
that's a
look.
good thing. That's a bad look. That no one should have power to access to God's power. I thought that was crazy. And I was like, that doesn't seem like a good thing. Like, no one should have access to God's power. Like, he is the ultimate, like, he is him. You know what I mean? God. His power is so great and so magnanimous that no one else should have ever, no one should come close. So I thought that was crazy. But of course, she explains this is in very special circumstances. This is not just like a common thing that anybody can do. And she says it's a destined, intended conjurer. So it's very, very specific. I just really thought, dang, Ladarrion, you giving people access to God? Like,
to God, like powers.
Hold up. They also talk about in this chapter, this is the one I told you, Jay, I could not wait to discuss it with you. They discuss the access to the power of God. And I'm going to be honest, I found it crazy, but so did Dom and Malik. And Tatuba even says, well, there's more than one God. It's not just the God, it's many gods. And Dom says there's only one God. And Tatuba then explains, she used a Bible quote. She says, thou shalt not put other gods before me. And so she explains, listen, Dom, like, you may have grown up in church, but I know the Bible as well. Even God in the Bible knew that there were other gods. And I wanted to get your opinion on this, Jay, because we both grew up you're in church. I grew up in church. I still go to church sometimes. And when I read this scripture and when it's talked about, their meaning was when God was saying that it was do not make false gods out of the worldly things. It wasn't him saying that there other deities existed. It was more like, do not elevate these material things to a godlike status and worship them above me. But in this book, Tatuba is explaining the definition of that verse is that God is admitting that he is not the only God. So what did you feel about that?
I was a bit confused at that point because that's more biblical in literature as far as like the book versus the actual Bible. I will say that you don't put no other God above God, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. But do I believe that there were other gods? I don't know. Part of me does, part of me does, part of me doesn't. But I liked what he said though. Don't put, if he's acknowledging, if the one above is acknowledging that there is other gods and not to put them before him, like the comparison from the book to the Bible, as far as not that the book is the Bible, but it's taken from the Bible and putting it in the book. They acknowledge, like, listen, and Tatuba even acknowledged, I like the fact that when he writes it, he's not putting the people inside the book words above God. So he's saying, God, that Tatuba saying, God, we know that God is the main one above. He said, just don't put nobody above him. So in your reading, don't just think that God is the head, but in between and under him, not even in between, under him, there are gods.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what he was trying to convey. And I think that's what Tatuba was trying to convey to Dom and Malik in that sense.
I guess I wish when Tatuba and Dom and Malik were expressing this, I wish Dom would have spoke up a little bit more. I told you, she grew up in the church and we talked about
singing and all that.
This was a chance for her to be like, well, this is what I learned in church, but she was just kind of like, there's only one God, and she just let it be. I really wanted a discussion there because it felt like it was opening up to that, and then they just took Tatuba's word for it. And this was an interesting chapter because Tatuba also explains that people have used the Bible against people like us, meaning conjurers, people with powers. And she was like, but they don't even know this is not even the original word of God. And in Christianity, that is something that is heavily talked about, that the slave masters are the ones who gave us this Bible. It's not the true word of God. It's been manipulated over the years. And it's just something that it's like one of those really controversial things that's talked about in the church. Is this the true word of God? Should we be following this? So I thought it was very interesting that he added that into the story. And Tatuba is saying these are not even the real words. Like, basically they've been manipulated. I mean, she didn't say they've been manipulated, but that's basically what I thought she was saying. This is not even like the real, like, God's word, which again, I found interesting because they are using the Bible in their spells. So it's like, if it's not the true word, then why are you guys using it? So it created a conundrum adding Christianity and the Bible into the story, which I've talked about in our other videos about this. Like, I was confused why Ladarrion decided to take it there and put the religion in it, especially because religion and magic do not mix. And he's putting some interesting things and starting some conversations. And I'm just hoping that he closes the circle and that this is not the last time that this is visited, because it's a really important thing. And I feel like he's kind of throwing in these controversial things like there's more than one God. This is not the true Bible, but there's no explanation behind it. And I really want that discussion, because this is something that we discuss in real life. I would have loved to see it discussed more in the book instead of Tatuba just being like, this is what it is, and then Malik and Dom accepting it. You know what I mean?
Right. Because then she goes on to state that each great conjurer have a grimoire. And creating it is the most intimate and powerful thing that you can do. And then Malik asks his grandmoms, and to show him the way that books come through and the spells are created. And then he says it. He says, "Blood of my blood and the flow of his arms go into the pages." Mm-hmm. So did he lose? And my thing when I was reading it, did he lose the scroll? So now was the scroll in the book?
Yes, and I was like, to me that was so
dumb.
Stupid.
That was okay. So I was waiting for it, like, bruh. I think she's conning him to give that to take. Because why would you say that? How we know that? Who got a grimoire? Right? Who got a grimoire? Show it to me.
I remember his mom having a grimoire.
But she was evil.
But she was evil. And remember the
evil
friend,
people
the teacher, whoever tried to get into it, and the mom went off on her. But I felt the same thing as you, Jay. When I seen him put the scroll of Vidan into that grimoire, I was like, why would you do that? You already was a walking target, having it in you, and then telling everybody about it, basically. But now it's in a book that can be stolen, a book that can be cracked open, and someone else could have possession of it. So I think
exactly.
This is just, Malik is young. He makes dumb decisions. He did it in the last book. He's doing it in this book. I think this is going to be important. Someone's going to steal that grimoire. They're going to steal it.
And that's what I put in there. I was like, yo, bro, like the book is now. So now we obviously know the book is going to get stolen, right? They have a spell, like a detonator to set it off. And I'm like, what is that? All right, it's going to set off, but then it's going to be lost. You know what I'm saying? If they need it off, they're losing it. Exactly my point.
Later, we're going to talk about this in another chapter, but I'll just hint at it here. Someone goes into Malik's room and leaves something in his room, which means people have access to his space. Imagine him leaving his grimoire in there and someone figured out what it is. They could just go in and take it. So, like you said, this is just confirmation. The scroll is going to get stolen. That's literally what Ladarrion is telling us. It's going to get stolen because why did he put it in the book? It's just
dummy, like,
and the chapter ends with Tituba saying that Malik probably will never see Mama Aya again because she said.
And I did feel bad about that. I did feel bad about that.
When she left, she said she had Malik say with her to be present, to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord.
I thought that was dope. I thought that was dope though. Like that's great. That's great. You know what I'm saying? Like that's great for real life too. Like to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Like that's a dope. That's a dope. Dope analogy scripture. I'm pretty sure it's talking about the scripture.
Why would Mama Aya cut herself off completely from Malik? I don't get that. She is such a guide. She is so powerful.
This is why I don't think she's. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that later on. But before we leave out of this chapter, we find out that Kava is a defense magic.
Yep.
We find out that Kava is a generational, and the scroll was created. The scroll was created, right?
Mm-hmm.
The divine Elam, before their magic gets cut off, she felt like they needed to remember their spells to make sure they remember. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then Malik's great ancestors was in the divine Elam,
which makes him even more powerful.
So all of his, and then we find out that it does skip, and we find out that it skips his mother, right? And that's why she's really upset because she doesn't have it. I said, I still don't trust the tuba, right? We find out that Miriam could turn men into beasts, into the Nunda, and that she was a slave woman. So we find out that Malik's great-grandmother can turn men into beasts, into Nunda, and she was a slave woman. Malik's mother was unfortunate because, like I said, the Kave skipped her, and that because she was into Bane magic, which is basically, but then I'm like, all right, so when she was using Bane magic before the Kave could get to her, Malik used Bane magic to raise down from the dead.
And he got the power from the scroll. I mean, he wouldn't have been able to do it without the
power from the scroll. So I'm like, why did the scroll skip her? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and how did it know that she was going to be bad? You know what I mean? Like Malik is only 17 or 18 when he got it. His mom started getting deep into the bad magic when she went to that college. Not blaming the college, but that's when she started really learning about her magic. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how did the Kave know to skip her? You know what I mean? That's what I was confused about.
How did it know? Right? Or did the mother purposely, kind of conjure the, because we don't know where Mama Aya's like grimoire is at. And then,
or maybe it was passed down with Mama Aya dying, and it skipped to Malik's mom, and then it went to him. You know what I mean? Because he didn't really experience it until she died and gave him the scroll, and then he started like experiencing this. So I was thinking, like, I want more information. How does this work?
Remember, Mama Aya was in the divine Elam, right?
Was.
What if the seer showed her that, or him?
That's
what
true.
If the seer showed her or whether it was a male or female, we don't know. But what if the seer showed her everything that was going to happen? Maybe in their own private conversation, she was like, "Show me my future," or whatever, and she purposefully made it skip over her daughter. You know what I'm saying? Because she knew, but we don't know what the seer does. So until we find out, but that was just an assumption. You know what I mean? That was just an assumption. But we find out at the end, like you said, Tituba is about to show Malik what happened in Salem. And this is one of my favorite chapters right here. Chapter 18. Chapter 18 was one of my favorite.
Say one more thing. Okay, I promise I'm not being petty, but
you good.
Page 191, because I feel like I'm one of those people. No matter how much I like the book, I have to point things out. Let me see.
Nah, you good. Nobody's above the criticism. You know, nobody's above the criticism.
And then, of course, you can just skip it, like, pinch this together. Let me see. What did I say? Anyway, she says, okay, so on page 191, Tituba is talking to Malik about Kaveh and how it skipped and blah, blah, blah. So she says she used the powers for good. So did Mama Aya. Grief does its thing whenever Mama Aya is mentioned. That hole that's been empty where she was seems as though it's getting bigger and bigger the more she's mentioned. But not my mama, I say, feeling the weight of that too. And then this is what Tituba says. She says, your grandmama knew that the Kaveh skipped her and that she wasn't equipped to be the protector of the scroll. Now, you hear what she said. She said, your grandmama knew that the Kaveh skipped her and that she wasn't equipped to be the protector of the scroll. But Malik's grandmama is Mama Aya, and the Kaveh did not skip Mama Aya. And Mama Aya was a protector of the scroll. So I think that this is supposed to say your mama knew that the Kaveh skipped her because it skips Malik's mama. Do you get what I'm saying?
So this part says
your grandmama. And I was so confused because I kept reading. I was like, wait, the Kaveh skipped the grandmama? But no, I think that is just a small little mistake. That it was supposed to say your mama, but it says your grandmama. And that was something that confused me when I was reading. I kept going back because I'm like, I thought that the grandma did have Kaveh, but that's just what I wanted to say. And again, this is not a bad thing, but I feel like as someone who reviews books, who reads books, I've mentioned everything, the stuff I like, the stuff I didn't like, and the stuff I noticed. So I did notice that.
You good. I'm glad you did bring that up. I'm glad you did bring it. And maybe, we don't know. Maybe it means something. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a typo. Maybe it might mean something, but that's good that just shows that you pay attention and that you making sure that you ain't letting up, but they go back in chapter 18. That was the closing of chapter 17. In chapter 18, they go back in time. They go back in time to Tituba memories.
Yep.
And Malik is, he says it's not like none of them teachers that taught them what the crucible was back at home.
Yeah,
this here right here is real.
It's real.
So we go with Abigail and Tatcha and Sally. Who is Sally, who was the conjurer, must have transformed them into beasts. So they just thinking it's fun. Like Abigail is, and then she's confronted by a woman. So basically, they playing in the woods, and I guess they like turn us into such and such.
You can
show us your power. Let us have some fun or whatever. And then after they finish having fun, they headed back to the village, and Abigail is confronted by a woman who is Tituba and says that how could she? How could you use your magic to show to them? It's dangerous. If they catch you, you will be on the stake. So this is back when they were staking witches. If you watch the Crucible, they was doing witches dirty. If you even had a hint of witchery or sorcery in your body,
it's over. Finito.
Facts. So next, Malik is transported, and you see Sally being staked. So I had to go back, and I said, wait. Abigail, Tatcha, is the ones who Sally turned into beasts. Sally's the conjurer. Up here, it says Sally was the one being staked and people don't care. And Abigail is smiling.
Because she turned her in.
And I'm like, yo, what? So Abigail was really doing people dirty. She like one of those people. Like she wasn't, I think because she wasn't magical.
She wasn't, and she turned her in, which is exactly why Tituba said, do not show anybody. And the girl is like, they're my friends. They're not going to tell me. Well, they told on her because when Tituba went into the courtyard and seen Sally being burned at the stake, Abigail and the guy she was with, I think it was Thatcher. Yeah, they were smiling. They were like grinning at it. Exactly.
And she said, and the man steps out. He says, "Watch, God will rain down on you," as Master Charlie tells his people. For who do evil, then they will unite. Sally and Tituba eyes are blood with anger. Then Malik is taken back into the present world. So I was like, wait, so just imagine that vision. You know what I'm saying? Like something is going to happen with, well, not Sally. Tituba's eyes are blood with anger because Sally's dead. And I'm like,
her eyes were red, actually.
Well, her eyes was red, but that's because she died. But Tituba's eyes was red with anger.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's like, Okay, so
But
this
her eyes were red, Jay. Her eyes
I
were
know,
red.
I know,
Did
I
you
know,
see that?
I
And
know what that
it
means.
said when the tuba turns around in this scene from the past, her eyes are red. They're not like angry. It's not
We
like he's
know, we
crying.
know,
He
we
didn't
know.
say they're bloodshot because that's a difference.
I was trying to skip around that, so I ain't want to
No,
ruin it. But we know what it means. We know what it means.
her
You
eyes were
can't,
red.
you
And it was
got it.
surprising that Malik didn't say anything about this. He didn't say, whoa, her eyes were red. I was like, listen, your mama's eyes was red. What is it? Marionette, her eyes was red in a vision. She was
Right,
bad. And now Tatuba turns around, her eyes are red. And I understand her being angry. Trust me, you're angry. This is your friend.
exactly.
She got burned at the stake. But why are your eyes turning red? And I found it crazy. Malik didn't say shit about it, Jay. He
We
didn't say
know what
nothing.
your eyes red mean, girl. Boom. We know what it means. We know what it means, right? And as they come back into the world, Malik is like, they lied. You know, it wasn't white women, it was black
It was
women who
black
were
women.
tied up and killed. And Tuba says she was tired of it, right? She says she has that Alexis look, but I like when he said that she has that Alexis look, and we know what Alexis was doing. But she says it all will be revealed. That's why I said this is one of my favorite chapters, because I want that girl dead. Like, I don't even know why I want the girl dead. You know what I'm saying? Because she's obviously evil. I want to
She's
see
evil
her
now too.
dead.
I'm literally catching on to what you was baking in the beginning. I really was like, her eyes are red. Then she says, Malik, your mom and I were not so different. And I'm thinking, so you're comparing yourself to this evil bitch who's going and snapping people's necks and calls them out. Like, why would you even want to make that comparison? You know what I mean? She does say, Malik, trust me, I'm not leading you down the wrong path. I promise. But I'm like, I don't trust her. The eyes red. You're comparing yourself to his mom. I think it's a little weird. You let him use Bane magic to bring Dom back to life. And I feel like she had to have known. Like, you have to know how the order works. Because look how old you are. You're older than even Mama Aya. You taught Mama Aya. There's no way you didn't know that. So I'm really like, I'm with you, Jay. I'm like, yeah, I don't like her.
I don't like her. Something's going on with her.
Something's
And
going
then we
on.
get some happy news. Savant,
Yes.
it's his day. He's
Yes.
going in, he's getting
Their
accepted.
day.
Their day. It's their day. And they are getting accepted into the house of transcendence. And it's their acceptance, and they're celebrating the day. We get Keela Hamilton. She gets their tickets and says, you can get your skate. So I'm like, okay, it's a skate party. I like this. I like this. I like this. And then
Yes.
we go with Tiana, is another woman who was inducted into the House of Transcendence. And she says, yo, so you're the famous Malik who got our homecoming back on. And then we see Jason talks more about the inclusion of the LBGT community and what we talked about before. And the elders are saying, like, they was basically saying that the elders need to get on the same page of inclusiveness. And that's the reason it started off, it started off tough in the world. Everything that we kind of said earlier about the elders and not really getting it. And then Malik goes into cutting it up on the dance floor where my son is even getting that.
I wish I was there. I was reading this and I was like,
Malik
man.
getting the dub, Jason
Literally, they doing
cutting
the
up
Dougie, they
with the
skating,
smoke.
Savon and D'Lo skating and grinding. It just
The
seemed like
baddies coming from the into the front. Malik and Dom having a moment. Malik is saying, but I like what he said though. He said, this is how he envisioned college. This is how college should be. All of that extra stuff shouldn't be going on. We supposed to be doing stuff like this, celebrating.
Like that. And he shows he's grateful because he says the sacrifice of the people who came before him, Mama Aya and Professor Tatuba, and even Chancellor Tehran, they are the people who made it possible for him to be exploring college and be having fun. And I like this chapter because for the most part, it was positive. Nothing crazy happened at this party, which I was sure was going to happen.
Finally, I was listening to like, yo, please don't let no bunkers pop out and show people.
It was just college kids having fun, showing out, dancing, skating, being hyped. And I just really love how they all show up for each other. Like, this is Savon's day and they all show up for them. You know what I mean? They all are like, look, you our person. We about to show up, put on our nice stuff, and we about to like get this party started. Love that.
But let me see this, right? Let me show you how Malik can turn a party and ruin it, right? Party's going well. Everybody's popping out. Everybody's dancing. The night goes smooth. No hitch, no bonkers, no Malik mom, just a regular college party, normal night. Dom and Malik are walking home, right? Dom shares her secret about, her being, her basically her powers came, was it after her grandmother, or grandfather passed away, right?
Told her the secret.
And he told her the secret that you have magic. So I'm like, okay, it is. She sung in a secret. She sung in secrecy, in a choir, and she hid it. And Dom's aunt is the one who told her about this place, and that's how she got in touch, because we know Dom's mother was hiding her powers from her pastor father.
Yep.
So Dom's aunt got her enrolled into the school, and that's how she got into school, which I thought was dope. And this is what messed me up, right? Malik.
What? What did he do?
So as Malik is walking her to the crib, right? He says, I don't want her to feel like the rebound. Well, if that was me, I would have bounced that ass. Because let me tell you, I've been through all of this. I brought you back from the dead. I'm going to get them cheeks.
Oh my God, I
It
cannot.
ain't no way you escaping me tonight. But this sucker, right? That's what I got to take it back to his jive ass. This sucker wants to play nice. Yo, Dom want her oven baked because guess what?
Oh
I
my
died,
God.
Malik, and I'm willing to give you some of this tang, right? And Malik is like, nah. I don't really want you to think of me as a rebound. And I'm like, bruh, she's offering you the yams.
No,
You
she
walk her to
did
her
not
door.
She wanted to kiss him, Jay. She
You know
wanted
what that
to
means
kiss him.
in college.
I
After a long night, we finally free.
I would say I was proud of Malik. I thought this definitely showed his maturity. And you know why I was happy? He didn't kiss her because he's still not over Alexis.
That's my point. I was about to go there. So
Yeah.
you didn't kiss her not because she was a rebound. You didn't want to kiss her because you still waiting for Alexis. Bro, we don't listen. You're in college. You're meant to have relations with the
But
public.
Malik is a sensitive guy. You know what I mean? And the thing that happened with Alexis, it really hurt him. Imagine loving this girl from the time you were a child, just associating happiness and good times with this person, finding them in your late, like,
you want me to be
teenage
honest
years.
though?
Go ahead. Keep it real.
He already beat Alexis.
What, Alexis?
So
of course
he already
did.
beat. So technically, you already passed that level, right?
But he was in love with Alexis.
After
And think about
getting the
that.
cheeks.
He was in love with Alexis over the summer. He just met Dom at the start of the fall semester. It's going to be hard for him to get over it. Anyway, I liked it. I definitely think she's really feeling him. I definitely think he's feeling her, but he wants to move at a way slower pace. The thing that got me, though, is he was like, oh, I'm just so heartbroken over Dom. I'm still not over it. Like, I don't know if I can trust that easily. And I'm just like, yeah, but you put your trust in everybody else on campus, telling them about the scroll and shit like that. You know what I mean? So remember I told you him trusting Chancellor Tehran, which I like Chancellor, but just him, he's already like, oh, I'm so hurt. I can't move on. But you're trusting other people with really, really deep, dark secrets outside of being in a relationship. But like I said, I know Alexis is coming back. I don't know how, I don't know when, but she's coming back. And I'm hoping that her and Malik, I told you, Alexis has always been my favorite character. So I loved that him and
That's
Dom.
it. You just waiting. You like it because you just waiting for Alexis to come back. You ain't team Dom and Malik. I'm team Dom and Malik. You know what I'm saying? Alexis made her choice.
I will give you a little hint, Jay. I was on Ladarrion Williams' threads, okay? And he was showing a snippet of a chapter, I think. And someone was just like, oh my gosh, I need him to hurry up and choose between Alexis and Dom. So Alexis is coming back. And Malik is going to have to make a choice. And I was like, yes.
I hope it's Dom. I hope it's Dom.
It's not going to be Dom.
I hope it's Dom. I hope he take Alexis and take her to the underworld and be a sacrifice.
That tells you too that Dom probably isn't bad. I suspected her to be bad with those powers that she had. Me and you talked about. She's probably not bad if he has to make a choice between Alexis and Dom, because if she was evil, of course, it wouldn't even be a choice. It would just be, he's gonna, or maybe he would just be single.
I want him to be
Alexis
with
is
Dom,
kind of doing her thing too.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Alexis could be out in the world getting punched. You know what I'm saying? She about to lose her powers. We don't know what's gonna happen. But as Malik goes into his room, he sees a small figurine.
Oh, yes.
And as he's grabbing the figurine, it pricked his thumb. So I'm immediately thinking voodoo. Right? I'm already thinking voodoo because it's a voodoo doll, and it pricked his thumb, and he sucks the blood, and he's like, yo, who put this in my room? And I'm like, this is how chapter 18 ends. Somebody put that in his room. So in chapter 19, he goes to see Terran about that object, and Terran is laughing. He's like, yo, this ain't that type of bad magic, bro. This is in Ecclesiastes. This is to protect you. You know what I'm saying? It's to protect. It's like a protection. But I'm like, who would put that in his room
and then not say nothing? That's why I was just like, I get what Chancellor is saying. Like, the magic I'm getting feels protective. But again, I'm thinking, who would? And then Chancellor admits it wasn't me. And I'm just thinking, I feel like Professor Tatuba would say something because they're in the Divine and Lamb together.
Right.
Like, I feel like Dom would say something, but she also hasn't been in his room. Like, D'Lo and Savon are his boys, but Like, I feel like they wouldn't, everybody who I know that Malik talks to, they wouldn't put that in his room unless they told him about it. So it's really weird that someone just put it in there and didn't say anything. And then it's like they wanted him to see it because they could have hidden it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If it's a protection spell for him to keep in his room, they could have hidden it, but it's like they wanted him to see it. Why not tell who it is? So it feels sinister, despite what Chancellor said. I'm like,
But he did say he checked it. It's all spirits. It's good spirits.
Yep.
And that they mean not to do him no harm. So it's placed there for his protection. And Malik's think that his mother doing something to mess up his life. But I get him. He has trauma and he's not over that trauma. So, he just took some extra. He said he takes some extra precaution. Taryn tells him like, yo, I took extra precaution. We're
like
going to find out.
She cannot get you on campus or in Mama Aya's house.
We're going to find out in chapter 20 that he really did do protection. So maybe it's an understatement, but maybe this is just a subplot and, to give more credence to the book and give it more mystery versus and give it a mystery thriller vibe, because this is not, it's magical, but it's like a thriller. Who put it in this room? And him kind of going on a tangent spree like that and seeing, what happens with that. And then, basically, we move on to the next thing where they're still studying more pages of the divine Elam and the memories, and Dom is studying with him as well. They find out that Harriet Tubman was a seer, and that was the reason why she was able to move and groove under that Underground Railroad and not be caught, because she was a seer. I thought that was so dope to give Harriet Tubman kudos first, right? Throwing her in a book, because it's almost like forgotten ancestry, and giving her the ability to be a seer, which means that Harriet Tubman was in the divine Elam. So I thought that was ill, the way he kind of put her in there. I wish it was a little bit more that he could have threw in there, but if she was a seer, then she was in the divine Elam, right? Am I tripping out?
I really like that as well. I really did, because like you said, Harriet Tubman, like I've even seen the Harriet Tubman movie. I've read about Harriet Tubman. Mm-hmm. Harriet Tubman used to pass out just randomly, and she said that God was giving her visions. That's how she never got caught by anybody on the road when she was freeing the slaves. So I thought it was very interesting that they added Harriet Tubman in there, especially because it fits, right? She was a seer. Like, that makes sense. I thought that was really cool. I also thought there was a funny comment that Malik made. He said when he went and looked at the doll, he was like, yeah, Chucky was considered cute until he started killing people.
That was dope. LD, you got that one, bro. Salute. That was a good one. Because it was true though, right? Yeah. I just want to be your friend.
Literally. And everybody's like, oh, Chucky is so cute, until it started killing people.
Until it started killing people.
I was cracking up when I read that. I was like, oh my gosh.
And this is another thing. Go ahead. Because I want you to go.
No. Then they go back and they're learning more. I want to say I love how many chapters that Ladarrion focuses on the divine Elam. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, they're doing it and he's just going to show them. But no, he's very specific about what they're doing. In this chapter, Malik conjures a spell that lets him see what his mother is doing. And you can see how scared Malik really is. And this is why I said I really, really like Malik. He is such a considerate character. The fact that he considered Dom's feeling is like, I don't want to play with her because I'm still in love with Alexis. Right. The fact that in this chapter, he could see Dom reminiscing about dying and that wound that she had. He was like, I got to find out what. And I feel like, I think he's a little afraid of his mom and he's mad at her, but he's more mad that the things that she's doing is affecting the people that he loves around him. That is what makes him mad. It's not even the stuff that she's doing, but it's like, you are affecting my life through the people that I love. And I love his fierce protectiveness. Like, I'm going to find out what this bitch is doing because you're not going to keep hurting my friends. So he conjures, he does the spell. And he sees what his mom is doing, and he sees his mom arguing with Kumale.
But hold on, even before that, I want you to keep that. I want you to keep that. But we get to find out that Malik gets his mother. He gets the vision of his mother doing dirt in the field with the Woogaloos as they tramping over bodies. Yes. And then we find out to defeat a Woogaloo, you have to put out 13 pennies.
13 pennies on your doorstep because they can't
count past 12. I'm going to let you finish out the chapter.
My thing was, why would that stop them? Like, are they allergic to copper? Like,
they just dumb that they just going to stop and they're not going to enter because they're going to be so confused that they can't get past 12, that they can't get to 13 that they stuck.
Trying to kill somebody. Why would
I don't know. I thought that was just funny because they're going to count. They're going to count each and every one of them. So I thought that was crazy.
But then... So that's the first part. He sees her with the Lugaroos, and then Tituba is saying something like, oh, your mom stole a spell from a book, and then Dom takes that book down, and that's when she holds her stomach, like remembering the injury that she had. Malik is like, you know what? I'm about to find out exactly what she's up to. So he uses some conjuring spell, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't understand the difference between this spell and the spell he did before, because both of them let him see his mother, but I guess in this one, he's diving...
There.
Yeah, he's going where his
there.
mother is.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees her arguing with Professor Kumale, and it seems like the Boncours are going to revolt. They're going to go rogue. I don't know if she's the leader, but she's like probably at the head of it, and they're
I
waiting
think
for
they're just working together. I think they're just working together. Yeah, I
and
think they're just
Kumale is
working
just
together
like, you have to find the scroll. And the
for
mom
your
is
sake
like,
and mine.
I can't get onto campus. I know that Malik has it. And he's like, are you sure? What if Mama Aya didn't give it to him? And she's like, I know, I'm sure. So it looks like Professor Chancellor did his thing. He really did, because they can't find a way to get onto Mama Aya's property, and they cannot get onto campus, but they really, really want that scroll. And it looks like the mom is about to get desperate, because the people standing behind her, she's going to be on her own. All she's going to have are the Lugaroos, which I'm not going to say all she has because they're vicious, but the Boncours are going to do their own thing. Like, bitch, we were supposed to be following you. We thought you was like the shit, and you can't even.
Right. Because he did say your time was running out.
Yeah,
he did tell her. He was like, yo, your time is running out. You know what I'm saying? So something is happening with her. Maybe her power is based off of her getting that book. Maybe something is happening with her, because she said she needs it too. I thought she wanted it just to be powerful, but it seems like she don't get it. Something's going to happen to her as well.
I mean, she's been making deals with different spiritual entities and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you've seen that Conjuring movie where that evil bitch, she made a deal with that fucking evil thing. Then it was just like, you have to give me a soul, and she couldn't follow through, and the thing came and like cracked her neck and like just split her ass up. It could be something like that. Like, she has to get the scroll to do something, or else something bad's gonna happen. And I'm gonna admit here, you can cut it here, Jay. I just looked because I was like, okay, that's the end of my notes. It's still chapter 20 left, so I'm gonna let you talk, and I'm gonna just. I'm so sorry. I thought I read it. I didn't even read chapter 20.
You good? I was like,
where's the rest of my notes? And I look back. I have chapter 19 labeled as chapter 20, so that's why I thought that I was done. I was like, wait.
Nah, we can leave it. We can leave it. It's just a mistake. It's just a mistake. We'll leave it in there, because guess what? We're a team. We're a team. We'll leave it in there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Because that happened to me. That happened to me last time where I was like mixed up in the chapters. But I got you. We still the same. We on the same team. So we go back with Malik, and he hears them talking, and they hear him in the bushes, right?
They hear him in the bushes.
And they hear him in the bushes, and they're like, what's that? And then she kind of notices it's her son. And that's when Tatuba grabs his ass. Get your ass over here. Like, and he's seen his mother's seen him. And she's like, you was never supposed to make contact. Your mother now knows a way to get you. So now we're going to figure out this is the only way she probably can get onto campus. Yep. So I believe that Malik is going to go, or she's going to use this same measure to get to Malik. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's how she's going to get to him.
This is another thing. Tatuba was right there when Malik was doing this. She did not stop him. That's what I kept thinking. The book, it's written as, she starts to stand from her seat. But I'm like, Tatuba, why are you, like, you're supposed to be teaching them and you're letting these things happen? It just, I don't know. I don't trust her as a teacher. I don't trust her as a person. I thought that was really weird. Why would you let him go and do this and then pull him out? Like, don't do this ever again. One. Right. And then two, I wonder how the mom is going to get access to the campus. Like, even if she is able to see through Malik's eyes, like what's going on, I still don't think she'll be able to get on the campus, because it's barred. Like, she can't, like, transport in or anything like that. But it is interesting. She is now aware of this connection that they have. And I definitely think she's going to try to exploit it to get what she wants. So, and
this is where we move into chapter 20, because now he realizes that he can teleport to wherever she is at any given time. And he doesn't like it, because he has the scroll, and now he knows that she needs it. Exactly. So I was like, okay, this is how chapter 20 opens up. And Tatuba's kind of mad. So they move on to Elijah and D-Lo and Malik are learning a dance for the party, right? They're learning a dance for this party that's coming up. And they speak about Dom, where Malik is like, now they're questioning in this chapter, they're Elijah and Dom, Elijah, D-Lo, and Malik, they're just learning this dance outside, and then they kind of have a sit down, and he's like, yo, what they like finally hit him with, what's going on with you and Dom? And he like, it ain't nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? We chilling, you know what I mean? And then they kind of like have a little bro moment, like, you hit, like, you hitting it? And he like, nah, we just cooling right now. So then they kind of, so picture D-Lo and Malik over there kind of chopping it up, and Elijah was in the conversation, but he wasn't in the conversation. He was sad, right? And the guys just look at him, and they ask him like, what's up? And he was like, y'all ever just seem like magic just make y'all sad? And Elijah, like, he was like depressed, and he didn't really understand. He didn't understand why he was depressed. He was like, he's the twin that wasn't doing nothing. Like, we know Savon is this big personality, right? has all of these things going for him. And Elijah felt so little. He felt like my job was just to protect. I was told my job was just to protect him because he's the one who's going to be this, mega, whatever. And he was like, damn, like that's all I am. I have dance, I have this, but then that's just really what I am. And he just feels like he was the twin that wasn't doing nothing and he just took care of Savant. That was his basis thing. And he was just like, yo, I just, because I talk to people, you know what I'm saying? I'm in this group. And that's when they talk about Dr. Davidson's, which Dr. Davidson is the one that Terran told Malik to go and talk to the
you mean
therapist.
Marquise?
Yeah. So Professor Davidson, but they could in this one they say Dr. Davidson. And he realizes that, it might not be a bad idea to speak to them. So he like, yo, if my man is going to the group,
I
right?
might as
And
well.
I might as well just pop in and see. So they all agreed, for cultural necessities for Elijah. So they basically go in there and they meet him and then they start talking about him. So it's like almost like a guilty pleasure in the group. So then they have a little circle up. They go to the meeting, right? They go to support Elijah.
But they're really going
right?
for themselves
Well,
as well.
they're saying they're going to support Elijah, but they basically go there as a group. And then as they start to, get to the group, and they have a guilty pleasure in the group where they kind of have a circle where they introduce themselves, right? And Davidson asks the group, like, what's a guilty pleasure that you have? And D-Lo talks about his sexuality, and he goes, so D-Lo's kind of locked in when they get in there and they're talking about it. And he's talking about how his sexuality, and it gets exhausted trying to express to people that you can be whoever you are. Like, I'm somebody who identifies as a bisexual man. I like women, I like men, but people don't get that. It just seemed like some people are clueless. Then D-Lo starts talking about, he opens up more in this chapter where he talks about he was in love with his best friend who was a male. But this other girl who he was into, which happened to be his best friend, aired him out. And that's how people found out that D-Lo, that's how his parents found out. That's how the community found out that D-Lo was bisexual, because she was the one who outed him. And he couldn't really understand, like, why would his best friend do that to him? Why would she out him like that? And D-Lo's kind of spilling everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's opening it up. Like, we went there for Elijah, and Elijah's not even talking. It's mainly just D-Lo kind of opening up as they're in this group session. And Malik is talking. He's like, damn, I didn't really know all this stuff about D-Lo. He like, this stuff kind of do work. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's seeing D-Lo open up. So like, this is kind of making Malik more comfortable in this group, because he really didn't know like the basis of what was going to happen, because that's what chapter 20 was about. All of them is just in this little AA meeting group that Elijah goes to because he's for his depression. So D-Lo's just start talking about, like I said, his best friend outing him. He didn't notice, he just wants people to accept him for who he is. He's not this person who is not comfortable with himself. People feeling like it was just a phase. And he's like, no, this is who I truly am. And he just want people to accept him. And they all clap or whatever, and they kind of give him a high five, like, yo, we accept you. And then we know what was going to happen. Dr. Davidson asks Malik if he has anything to share. Malik is like, he tells the group, like, yo, I'm from Helena, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought my mom, you just have these moments about your mom and you think something is happening where it really isn't happening. It's just memories that kind of toss you out. And he's like, yo, I really don't remember my childhood because it was nothing to really remember. I didn't have no key moments.
Ghost kingdom in one chapter. You remember that? He called it a ghost
kingdom.
kingdom.
And he was like, he even said it like, now he didn't say ghost kingdom, but he was like, everything was like a blur because nothing was kind of real. Like, he had this false imagination. So because he had this false imagination about his childhood, he really couldn't tell you what his childhood was about. You know what I'm saying? Because by the time everything was happening, right, which it was so sad. I like the fact in this chapter that he took him to therapy. Chapter 20 was about therapy. They opened up with all of this. They opened up with the guys, but the guys basically, from them dancing and learning his dance moves for this upcoming party, it went from Elijah talking about his depression to them following Elijah to his actual, not AA, but to his group.
I love how you call it AA meeting.
Right. But I'm saying it's like in the form of an AA meeting where
Magic's Anonymous.
Magic's Anonymous meeting where the guys can get there, and it's just all men in here, and they kind of can talk freely. And Dr. Davidson and then Malik kind of like shuts down because he's like, it's nothing for really to talk about. He's like, well, can you Dr. Davidson tried to get him to talk a little bit. Malik kind of was like, nah, I don't want to talk about that. And then they kind of was like in the meeting, like, yo, this was, and then Malik even says it like, yo, this was kind of a good thing. You know, D-Lo feel refreshed. He's like, yo, I might be coming back. You know what I'm saying? And as they're leaving, the doctor was like, you know, Malik, can you come here and talk to me for a second? You know, he bringing up the Terran stuff about Terran told me to come talk to you.
I don't know. I'm getting Kumale vibes, but okay.
He basically said that anytime, you know, you need to speak, my doors is open, and that he would like to do one-on-one sessions to him. And he reassures him that the doors is open for any therapy. And then when Malik walks out, he's like, all right, I'll think about it. And then he walks out, and that's how chapter 20 ends. Chapter 20 was really just a group therapy session.
I mean, but I think that that's also really beautiful that Ladarrion put that in, because think about therapy in the Black community. It just, I don't want to say we, because I believe in therapy, but we as a culture don't always believe in therapy. We just kind of like suck it up. It is what it is. We all had it rough, you know? So just having a chapter where the guys could just express themselves freely and comfortably. Oh, right. That's just so amazing. And I want to speak to D-Lo. Something that was talked about earlier in one of the earlier chapters was the fact that, you know, he wanted to pledge the Jakutas. The Jakutas are homophobic. They do not like gay people, but they accept D-Lo because he is an alpha male. He is masculine presenting, even though he's bisexual. He's not like Savon. Savon is very effeminate. They are very like, girl, you know what I mean? So the Jakutas are like, yeah, we don't fuck with that. And I think it was interesting knowing how D-Lo, even knowing that, still feels like, damn, can I really like be myself? Can I be accepted? My best friend like outed me. So I just love these conversations that Ladarrion is including in the book. You know, this is not about magic necessarily, but I mean, people are in college, they need therapy. And I love this strong core friendship. And I will say also, remember we were talking about who's going to die in this book? The fact that Elijah is just like, I don't have a purpose. It makes me think, what if he's like, this will be my purpose to save everybody? Like, you know what I mean?
I told you one of the twins might die from the earlier episodes, like Harry Potter, because you don't need him, because he hasn't really contributed nothing to the book. He's really just a twin. There's no real connection but to Savant. Yeah, he one of the homies, but this is the first time that they actually hung out. This is the first time that you see all three of them together. You see D-Lo and Malik more than you see Elijah. Elijah just every time he just pops up. He's never with them intentionally. He's never with them intentionally. D-Lo and Malik are together intentionally. Savon and D-Lo are together, right? But every time he pops in, he's like that third wheel, that third figure. So I think that if somebody was to go, it would be him. But I don't think it's going to happen in this book quite as yet. But that was everything.
That was everything. I can't wait to read the chapter and just recap everything that you said. It sounds like a beautiful chapter. I'm glad Malik is going to get therapy. I'm glad the guys are going to get therapy. And I just, like I said, I love their core friendship group. I really don't want to lose any of them. But I mean, it's that kind of book. Magic happens.
And I will say this before we get out of here. I like the way he's writing the book. It's not all over the place. Everything is sequential. It's following Malik, right? We see Malik. It's not like everything is reversed. Everything is flowing in the book right now. You know, everything is moving. Everybody has their story. We get into each plot. So we went from Elijah explaining himself. Now we went to therapy, right? I like the way he's flowing in the book. That's one of the things that I do have to give him kudos for that. It's the way he's just moving with the book. I don't feel like I have to go back or why this happened before this happened, right? Everything is moving. We know Dom and Malik's relationship, right? We know how Elijah feels. We know Savant's in his house with Transcendent. We know Tatuba. We get to know, we're learning more about Tatuba. We're finding out Malik and Kumale. We seeing what they're got going on. Terran is just kind of flowing in the wind right now. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. It's not like, where's this person or where's that person? Like, I like the way he's writing the book. Everything is just flowing for me.
I agree. I really like that. I feel like it's definitely sequential. Of course, I have questions along the way, but it's not any major plot holes, any major things. It's just questions that I have. And we're only halfway throughout the book, so I'm sure that they will be answered. I am absolutely enjoying the writing so far, enjoying the story so far. I think that he did so good. And I literally, like, I ain't even done with Bones at the Crossroads, and I'm already like, oh, I can't wait to the third book. I ain't even
which
done
will
with
be
this
next
one.
year.
Like,
Lord knows when next year.
Yes. Hopefully it's next year. Like I said, I keep up with Ladarrion on all my socials, and he puts snippets and just, I'm writing the third book. So I'm like, please have it done by next year, because I waited a long time for this book, and I'm very impatient, and I have to know what happens.
So in the next one, we'll be covering chapters
21
through 25.
Yep.
Yep, and that'll be our next episode, man. Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Thank you for always supporting us. The people who do, thank you for following us. We apologize for our brief hiatus, but we're back on it and we have so much in store for you guys. So please stay tuned as always. I'm your wonderful co-host, Kiera.
Yes, she's that reader. I'm just a speaker. Peace.